What's up out there? We are back with some more Path of Exile 2. This is my Molten Blast Deadeye, and I had to take a couple of days off, well, 3 days actually, for a work trip, so I was gone for a little bit, and then I came back, so I've had to kind of get back into things. I was at Tier 2 Waystones for the longest time. I finally figured out yesterday how to get the next level of Waystones, which is basically going and fighting bosses. I didn't realize that's how this progressed, and I don't remember if that's how it was back when the game first released into early access or not, or if that's a change with the way things are today with the revamped end game. But I'm finally up to Tier 6. That's what we're in now. We'll run this here in a second. What I have changed on this, I've actually made a few different changes. I think I've exalted all my gear out, so I don't think I've made too many changes as far as gear goes. But what I did is burned all the exalts that I got for a little while to fill in all the blanks on the gear that I have. I figured I'm not making too many changes to this all that often, so it'd be worth just upgrading everything and getting it done. I still need some better resistances. Like, it's okay, it's not great, but I need better resistances. I would like to have more life regen and things like that. There's definitely some things that can improve, but I've so far been not struggling with this. I've definitely died a few times here and there, but the build is not struggling. As far as the skills go, I should have looked and see who this was. I was watching somebody's build for Thorns, and it was a really cool build, but it gave me some ideas of what I could add on to here. So I should have looked this up before I made the video, but credit to whoever had that. This is not my idea. But basically, I'm running Herald of Ash, which I was running Herald of Ash before, but I threw on Lacerate onto my Molten Blast so that I can tee up Herald of Blood. And this is the idea that came from the other creator. When you tee up Herald of Blood, this actually does a hit when it explodes. There's an explosion when the blood loss kicks in and the enemy dies. There's a bleed explosion. That does a hit, which then you can have Envenom on there, so you get a 50% chance to poison, and then tee off Herald of Plague. So you're basically got this big cascade of fire explosions, blood explosions, and then I think this gives you a poison explosion or spreading poison or something like that. I don't know. It's a big cascade of just death and destruction. So I thought it was pretty cool. So credit to whoever that was that I stole this idea from. I like the idea. It's pretty cool. So you've got on Herald of Blood, you've got Envenom, Bursting Plague, and Deadly Poison, so we just do as much poison damage as possible, or build up as much poison and try to get as many explosions and all that cool stuff out of it as possible. Then we've got Herald of Plague. I put Precision on here. I probably need to run the Vitality one, but then I put Chaos Mastery. I just need a little bit more Spirit on here to swap out. I think Precision is probably good for the moment. Molten Blast, I finally got my 6-link set up, so I've got Martial Tempo, Fire Infusion, Fire Exposure, and somebody pointed out that I really want Fire Exposure as opposed to Fire Pen, so I swapped that out for this. We've got Lacerate and Primal Armament. There will be a POB in the link below. I will have that down there. Right now we're getting basically 7,500 DPS on this, and this is what my attack speed looks like. We're firing off 2 projectiles at a time. I know somebody suggested that there's like gloves or something you can get where you can do like 4 projectiles. I don't have it. I'm playing SSF, so that's what I've got. Now, I did come across this Shiba Temple Maul. The downside is I go from 7,500 DPS down to 5,800, but this thing is ridiculously fast. So, and it also burns through my mana. It's a lot less damage, so I'm thinking about what else I can do with that. Like on this, it does a great attack speed, but I was thinking about something like maybe Sunder or something like that to try to tinker around with it. I don't know, but we're going to go run a map. I like that mace. I thought that was really cool. And once again, this is my first Tier 6 map, so I have not run this yet. I have no idea what these are like. I have been dying a little bit here and there. Like, this isn't a totally the most tanky build in the world. I definitely take a lot of damage, and, you know, it's easy to kill everything, or it's easy to, when you're killing everything ahead of time, you don't have to tank as much damage. So the faster you kill it off, the better off you are, which is why I wanted to have the build, or the skill that I'm using. The reason I'm using Molten Blast is because I wanted that range and I wanted the destructive power that this has. So it works out really well. But there are times when things get a little bit too close, or I get stuck on terrain or something like that, or I get stuck. Where I've really been dying quite a bit is on just get like trapped somewhere and then just instant death. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's like poison or some AoE or something. I'm not exactly sure, but there are times where I just straight up die and everything's cool and then it's just not cool. So like I said, I'm guessing that I'm probably standing in poison or standing in some other kind of debuff or something and not quite seeing it, because it's usually on the closed in maps where maybe I get hung up on something, or I'm not sure. Still haven't quite figured that one out, but it's not, not the tankiest of builds for sure, but it's also not, I'm at tier 16, or I'm sorry, tier 16, tier 6 of the Waystone, so making progress for sure. Not dying all that much, but dying enough to where it's kind of annoying. It's not been frustrating, maybe that's the best way to say it. It's not been frustrating. This build has been doing fairly solid, and I've been dying, but it's more of it's not been the whole slog that it was back in December when the game first came out. Like, I was struggling hard everywhere, and it's just, I had a kind of a bad build. I had a really bad build, basically. And I've been getting a lot of uniques. So it's not been frustrating like it was back when the game came out, but it's definitely been, I've definitely been noticing the more difficult stuff we get. Let's see here, the more difficult content, 100% movement speed, and that might be useful for something. Let's see, get rid of that. And I can put this thing back up here. I already have one of those, huh? I've been getting a ton of uniques today. Let me dump all this stuff off real quick here. And just drop it all off. Get it out of here. Get back into killing things. There's a boss in here. I picked this map so you can get a good feel for how this build is running. And we're about to level up. I'm not quite sure where to go with all my leveling. We didn't look at the passive tree. We should go back and do that here in a second. Need to remember to do that. I did make a couple of small changes to the passive tree, but for the most part, it's pretty much where it was in the last video. It's the main changes have been like gearing and things like that, and the skill gems that I tried, adding the extra heralds and all that kind of stuff. Man, I'm already out of life. Oh, I didn't go and hit the flask thing. Oh well. Let's see if we can build that up without having to go back to town again. Really wish they would just autofill flasks and stuff when you go back to town. And like these things that chase you around, they've been super annoying. That's the kind of stuff that just kills me, mostly. Nah, that guy's done and gone. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's see, there should be a boss. There's a long way to go before we get the rest of this. But you can see the explosions going off. There's like a little a green pool of poison that gets left on the ground whenever the things die. So whenever they get poisoned and all that bursting plague and when all of that kicks in, you'll see a little pool of, I think that's mine. It's kind of hard to tell what's mine and what's the enemies. Oh, that lightning damage destroys me too. There's so many things that explode, no, we're doing all right. Need to get my life regen up a little bit higher. I'm not quite happy with the way it is. Everybody just leveled up. I don't have to worry about it now. Oh, so we're taking a big hit. Yeah, so this is where I'm going to have to start working on some defensive layers for sure. Probably doing some better gear. Like, I'm starting to really notice it, but we're also on a lot higher tier map too. So I was running tier 1s and 2s for the longest time. Like I said, I didn't quite know how to get there. Now that's enemy poison there. That lightning does not do me any favors. That's a ton of lightning. So I have to prioritize all that stuff because that just trashes my character. It doesn't help that everything's, the fire pools, poison pools, all that stuff on the ground. Let's see, the boss is up. There's 2 bosses? Oh, is this oh God. I hate this boss fight. Well, this will be interesting. See if we can burn this thing down real quick here. The Herald of Blood and Plague and all that stuff don't really apply to these unless you get ads or something in here. Where's this guy at? Ah, this stuff sucks. This guy's not bad. I find that if I take this guy out first, that woolly mammoth thing or whatever that thing is just wrecks me. There's like some weird AoEs that come out or something like that. If I take this guy out last, the fight goes so much easier. And that's that. Yeah, see, I got another unique. I've been getting a ton of uniques. Now we're up to tier 7. So that is how the build is going. And we need to look at the... Take a look at the... Nope. What's this here? Extra 100 spirit. I'm kind of curious what that would be good for. Well, at any rate, we need to look at the passive tree. So I still have not done my other ascendancy yet, and it's the same as last time. I came up through the projectile parts. We've got over here for accuracy. We've got primal sundering for increased, or Ellie Pen, increased area of effect, that kind of thing. All the projectile stuff down here. There's more projectile down here with Unleash Fire and Catapult. I don't remember where I was in the last video, but I came over here to wasting. So I did do some more investment into getting Molten Blast to ignite. We'll look at that here in a second. It's on the other side of the passive tree here. I just couldn't remember if I had that extra 100% chance to ignite, but I don't. So the concept of this is when you, I'm not terribly concerned about the ignite that Molten Blast does, but I want it to do an ignite, no matter how big the ignite actually is, because when you have a damaging ailment, you get 30% increased damage with hits against enemies affected by ailments. So we've got a chance to ignite and things like that, and then we get an additional 30% increased damage when they are ignited. We've also got exploit, which 25% increased damage with hits against enemies affected by elemental ailments. So these two add some extra damage on there, and we try to get more damage when they're ignited. Basically, is what these two little branches on the tree are. Coming off over this way. Again, no change from last time. Came through a remorseless, feel no pain, battle hardened. I still have mass rejuvenation and mass hysteria. I don't remember if I had all of these picked at the last point or the last video, but if anything, I added this last 3% attack speed. We've also got blurred motion. This adds a decent amount of DPS, so I don't want to get rid of it. I think in the last video, because I just changed it, I had overwhelm, came down here to overwhelm and colossal weapon, and then also this attack area and devastation. Backed out of all these. Attack area and devastation actually went over into ricochet so that I could get increased projectile damage. I forgot this even existed, and this is actually more damage than these two over here. So I leveled up, picked this here, and then backed out of these two and finished off so I could get ricochet. And then I replaced colossal weapon and overwhelm with going over here to burning strikes so we could get some additional ignite chance and things like that going off in this direction. Now, where we go from here, I'm not entirely sure. I think I want to go down this way. Increased chance to inflict ailments. That should, it doesn't say. See, you don't get your ailment chance. So I don't know if this affects anything or not, but I do know that 33% increased damage with hits against enemies affected by elemental ailments should give me a decent chunk of damage on top of that. So I'm going to go into that. That'll probably be the next level that I get into. And we are level 75, so I'm not sure where the rest of these points are going to go into at this moment, but we're still down to just using Molten Blast. I tinkered around with some other stuff here and there, but nothing really stuck. Nothing does as much damage. We're at 7,500, which is basically double that because I've got the double shot. Because of my ascendancy up here, I get to fire an additional projectile. I think there's some additional projectile stuff on here. I think somebody said there's like some gloves or something I can get with it, but that is where the build is currently. We just hit tier 7 maps. I'm probably going to float around because I just got into tier 7 maps. So gonna float around and try to get some more of these other maps built up a little bit first before I go fully diving into this and trying to keep pushing into deep yellow and red maps. You know, like I could probably keep pushing boss fights and just unlocking more, but I think I need to try to gear up a little bit more and get some stuff like that. But I don't know, that's where I'm at. And we've got the socketable tab now, which is great to have. And I can't remember we can actually put our charms in the flash tab. So I've had to redo my storage system, but that is the update that I have for now. POB will be linked below if you are curious. And that is going to do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.